Our next guest is the media director for Cannabis. Here to tell us all about the green rush, my good buddy Tim Strombel is here. Tim, how you doing, man?
Awesome, man. How are you? Thanks
Great.
for having me, by the way.
Yes, thanks for coming. Everyone wants to know about this. How do I invest in this? What's going on? Colorado, all this. So first of all, tell us, what is Cannabis?
So Cannabis is a multimedia company. Really started as a digital publication, grew into multimedia, podcast, video, everything like that. And what it does is it really provides the blueprint to get into the cannabis space as an entrepreneur. So we cover entrepreneurs in a positive light to show people and to show the world that this industry is being run by a lot of people who are well educated, well funded, doctors, lawyers, real estate experts, all over, to kind of destigmatize the cannabis industry.
Okay, so you think that the stigma out there is that it's all a bunch of Rastafarians, walking around with blunts on the street corner. But what you want to show is the business side. This is what's happening. There are real business people who are getting involved in this. It's become legal in Colorado now for what do you call it, personal use of cannabis. So what have you been doing? Tell us what the media director for Cannabis does. Who have you been talking to?
Oh, we've been talking to everyone from Gary Johnson, a two-term ex-governor of New Mexico, who actually left his spot in New Mexico to run for president in 2012, then started his own cannabis company. He's now president of a cannabis company. We've talked with Tommy Chong, one of the biggest cannabis activists of all time, who's going through cancer treatments.
Tommy Chong?
Well, it's interesting with Tommy Chong.
From Cheech and Chong, right?
From Cheech and Chong,
okay.
Correct. And he's become a big advocate and almost like a Socrates to the industry, kind of getting the stigma away from him being like the stoner persona as well, and really becoming a businessman, talking a lot about his story. He's had cancer multiple times, and he's treated it with cancer or with cannabis, in addition to conventional treatment. And then just a number of high-profile CEOs, executives, and presidents of companies in the industry, some of which left Fortune 100 companies to start a company in the cannabis space because it's the next tech boom.
No kidding, right? Because that's a lot of what it is. It's manufacturing and it's technology. There's all sorts of, I've looked up a bunch of stuff on this, and there's all sorts of technology companies that are involved in one way or another, whether it's through the medical side or through the recreational side. Really, really interesting stuff. So Colorado was sort of the guinea pig, right? That's the first state to really make this an industry, the cannabis industry. We're calling it the green rush. Hashtag green rush is what you're seeing if you want to look up cool stuff about it. Everyone's asking me, how do I invest in it? And not just, people that are our age, let's say, Gen X, Gen Y, millennials, not just those guys, but boomers are asking about it. Parents are asking about it. They're saying, I don't necessarily agree with this whole thing, but how do I invest in it? So you were in Colorado for a huge expo there. What can you take away from that? I haven't been there since this has all happened. Is everyone a pothead in Colorado now?
The interesting part about Colorado is everyone thought when it went legalized that it was just going to be stoners on the streets, Rastafarian culture, but you go there and it's just like downtown San Diego. It's like any other city. No one's smoking in public, anything like that. A couple of interesting facts about Colorado is because they legalized recreationally and medically, they've seen a huge boom in the residential and commercial real estate properties. Everyone's moving out there, starting businesses. It's really brought in a lot of money into the economy. And another huge bonus of this legalization that people haven't considered is the tax ramifications. Now, when the law initially passed in Colorado, the measures in the law and how it was written said that a certain amount of taxes would go back into the schools. So of all the tax revenue they generate, 10% goes right back to the schools. So Colorado raised $100 million from cannabis tax. Okay, so that's 10.
Wow.
It was 30%, excuse me. 30% goes back to the schools. So $30 million went back into the schools.
Holy smokes.
Now what's even crazier is initially they capped that at 75 million. They raised 100. So the voters in Colorado passed another referendum to say, we don't want to get that money back. Put it back into the schools.
So they're just dumping cash into the schools.
The original referendum said anything over 75 goes right back to the residents of Colorado, like a refund almost.
Huh.
They stopped it. They said, no, we want this 25 mil going back into the schools.
Fantastic. Can you imagine if we ultimately fund our schools with the tax revenue from cannabis?
What's interesting...
it's just ironic, but at the same time, it's like poetic justice or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Now, you recently talked to you're interviewing the who's who. You talked to Kyle Turley recently on the podcast, right?
Yeah, we got to talk to Kyle Turley. He's a two-time All-Pro in the NFL, as a lot of people know. He didn't get into cannabis until his third year in the league, when actually a future Hall of Fame teammate of his, while in St. Louis, gave it to him when he was really dealing with a lot of physical issues, emotional issues. You talk about CTE and concussions being a huge problem in the NFL. Some thinking it's going to derail the NFL as a global conglomerate of a business. Kyle Turley used for half of his NFL career, and it allowed him to keep playing. He thinks cannabis, and medical cannabis especially, is going to save the NFL, and studies have shown that it has been productive in Alzheimer's treatments, suicide prevention treatments, and CTE, which is the disease associated with Alzheimer's. Junior Seau, we're local in San Diego, lost him to this disease that brought it to the forefront. Medicines like this and organic options really kind of give these athletes a chance at having a longer career, first of all, and then having a healthier life once they're past their career.
Yeah, because it's especially in the NFL, where it's not like baseball, it's somewhat low impact. It's a high impact game, and you've got head injuries that are happening over and over and over. We've also found in our research that a lot of patients who are either getting the substance, through legal means or not, who have seizures and other sorts of head disease and conditions, have been able to use liquid form, not necessarily smoking form, but there's other forms. It's not just smoking anymore. You can ingest it. There's pills you can take. There's candies that you can take and get the medicine into your body, and that's really helping a lot of people out there, including young children.
Well, the cool thing about Kyle Turley, too, is ever since he retired, he's had chronic knee pain, back pain, and social and mental issues associated with football in his career. When we talked to him last week on the podcast, he's now 6 months without taking any pain-killing drug. And all he does is medically cannabis.
Yeah.
And that's a lot. If you've ever played a sport and you've taken some ibuprofen, doesn't take any ibuprofen. So anyways, that's a way that it really helped him. Another big misconception in the industry, and to speak to what you just said, is the separation between CBD, hemp, and cannabis. A lot of companies are taking the THC away. And if you don't know what THC is, it's the part that gets your brain all relaxed.
Psychedelic.
The psychedelic,
aspect, right?
the psychotropic part of the brain of the medicine. A lot of companies are taking that out. Now, what you're basically left with is almost a multivitamin, an organic multivitamin that doesn't get you high, but provides all of these organics and medicines that stimulate neurological paths in your brain. It's blocking seizures, like I said, treating Alzheimer's, Crohn's disease, a myriad of things because of all the cannabinoid levels of molecules in these plants. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's crazy that's happening. So you've been talking to all these people. You've been sort of the industry insider, going around interviewing people, talking to the people who are running the biggest companies in the industry. Have you talked to anyone who's got their finger on the pulse of what's next for, let's say, California?
Yes, absolutely. We interviewed recently Dale Sky Jones. He's the executive chancellor at Oaksterdam University. People hear Oaksterdam and they're like, oh, it's a bunch of hippies talking about cannabis. That's not what it is. It's people that have left whatever industry they're in, and they're going to get education as to exactly what it means to operate in the cannabis space, because it's the toughest, most regulated space in America to operate in.
Right.
What our show does is we give you that blueprint, and if you can operate successfully in the cannabis space as an entrepreneur or learn from those who do, you can operate in any industry overall. Now, Dale Sky Jones is the head of a number of different organizations in California, and she is actually the chairwoman of the actual writing of the bill that's expected to pass next November. And so what she did is they hosted forums and meetings up and down California, meeting with everyone inside, outside the industry. Do you have a concern? Are you an advocate or just a casual person who's watching? Okay, and her goal is to create a bill that's not perfect for anyone, but works for everyone, which is important because you talk about...
To legalize cannabis in California.
Yes.
That's the goal.
That's the goal. And there's a lot of other interests and parties that are going to be proposing legislation. Her group is the most comprehensive, well-funded thoughtful, I guess I would say, bill that's going to be put out there. You know, it's written and developed from all these people inside and outside the industry who are thinking about these things. When it passes, what do we do to make it safe for kids?
Right.
What are the regulatory systems? What are the tax systems we need to put in place to make this a successful industry for everyone? Not one specific industry and not one specific business inside of it, but everyone as a whole.
Yeah, and that almost passed already. I mean, we voted on that here in California. What was it, 2012? I think.
There's been a couple of referendums,
and it was razor thin. I mean, it was like 52 to 48 or something like that against. Which was crazy because we thought for sure, oh, this is California, you know, Colorado can do it. But no, it didn't happen. So you think that's going to happen? I mean, is she confident based on all the people she's been talking to that that's the next wave?
It's not even just her. It's the nation. I mean, anyone who's in the industry or knows about the industry is expecting California to pass November 2016. It's really a double-sided coin that it hasn't passed before. You could say it's negative. I say it's positive because it's given them time to really think about all the different levels. You know, use Colorado, Washington, and Oregon as examples and guinea pigs of things that have worked, things that haven't, and pull into California.
When people say, okay, I see it, I get it, the boom, it's here. How do I invest in this? Or how do I even start to look and figure out what to invest in?
There's a number of different platforms. We recently interviewed Michael Berger. He's the president and CEO of Technical 420, to name drop that app. It's an app for your phone and computer that basically walks you through the cannabis field. What they do is they vet these companies. They're a third-party independent site. They vet the companies. They give strategic plans as to how to invest, and then go and check out their company and maybe invest in it. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. This industry, it's so ground level that if you see something like that through the Cannabis website, just go ahead and call that guy or gal and say, hey, you open for investors, because it's at that point where something like that is actually possible still. Which is crazy given the projections for what this industry is going to bring in the way of economic stimulus to the state of California. Tim Strombel, thank you so much for being here today, man. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Great stuff. All right, Cannabis. That's if you want information about the cannabis industry, you got to check out Cannabis. Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.